Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Tuesday, December the 3rd. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and Matt Robinson with you on this Tuesday. 10 games tonight in NHL action. Looking forward to it. It is a very intriguing card. It's Christmas time. Sometimes you get a little crazy. I'm getting a little crazy with this card tonight, actually. There's going to be some, maybe a couple of shockers and a couple of things you may not expect that I'm liking here on this Tuesday slate. We'll get into that in just a moment. But first, we'll look back on a very light Monday night in the NHL with just the three games that took place last night. And thankfully, the old intuition, the old gut feel for Ian Cameron here, old IC, was that the New York Rangers were not back because they beat the Montreal Canadiens over the weekend and had to hang on to actually pull that one out in the final minute with a Capo Caco power play goal. Three of their goals were on the power play in that game. And my thought was, you know what? It's just a team that I don't trust yet. You know, they barely beat Montreal at home. Show me what you can do last night against the Devils. And I didn't trust them to step up and get the job done. Wasn't convinced that things were back on track. And sure enough, they were not back on track because the Devils basically ambushed them right from the beginning. 5-1 for the New Jersey Devils. We cashed the best bet. New Jersey team total over 3 last night, which was great to see that. Just a game where actually the Rangers did have stretches where they were in the Devils zone and good puck possession, and Markstrom was good, but I thought defensively they played a very good road game, the New Jersey Devils, no question about that. But right now they're just not in sync. Right now they're just not winning enough puck battles. Their defensive game has just been awful. Their even strength game has been awful, quite honestly. 5-on-5, the Rangers have been terrible, you know, during this recent run. This recent losing streak for them. So another loss for the Rangers. It was one and done as far as the win against Montreal that snapped their 6-game losing streak right back in the loss column last night, going down to defeat to the Devils, 5-1 there. Toronto with a very solid, you know, kind of workmanlike effort. It wasn't pretty. 4-1 against Chicago. In fact, I give Chicago credit. They worked hard. They really did last night. And there were moments where they had the Leafs running around a bit, but could not solve Stoli, the goalie, and it was back to the early season power play for Chicago. My goodness, it was not good at all last night, but you got to give the Leafs penalty kill a lot of credit. They barely had a sniff or a shot on goal on any of their power plays, quite honestly, last night, Chicago. But Toronto with another great defensive effort, and what's the record now with them with a lead going into the third period? I think it's like 9-0 now after last night. That's not typical Leaf stuff that we have seen over the years. Not at all, because we've seen them cough up leads. We've seen them blow 3-4 goal leads many a time in the last 5-6 years. They're not doing that shit anymore, at least not so far. When they get a lead in the third, it's tough as fuck, you know, to beat them, you know, and Toronto showed it again last night. And another solid effort in net from Stolarz, really solid team defensive play in front of him as well. So a nice 4-1 win there for Toronto. And Austin Matthews scores his first goal as well since returning from that injury a couple of nights ago against Tampa Bay. So solid game all around there for Toronto. And then the last game of the night, Dallas 2-1. Very good road effort on a back-to-back after playing Winnipeg on Sunday. They go to Utah. They beat the hockey club there 2-1. Although the big star of the night was Matt Robinson of that game. It wasn't anyone that played for the Dallas Stars. It was Matt Robinson, who I just happened to notice minutes before the game started last night. It's like that silent assassin. You weren't expecting it. Whoa, he's throwing a bullet out there. Evgeny Dodonov to score and to score the first goal. And sure enough, Evgeny Dodonov scores the first goal of the game early in the second period to give Dallas that 1-0 lead. So heck of a call there for Matt, with the Dodonov to score and first goal of the game, which I actually jumped on for a little bit once I saw that. So great stuff. And Dallas with the nice 2-1 win over the Utah Hockey Club last night. Alex, your thoughts on the 3-game Monday night slate?
Yeah, well, obviously the one game that I watched the most of was the Hawks game with the Leafs. I watched that whole game. And he said, Anthony Stolarz, we have to really start giving him some significant credit. And it's funny, I was joking about with Kevin Lincoln and his run. And I said, wow, it's a shame there's no All-Star game this year because he would have been an All-Star. Anthony Stolarz would certainly be one of those guys that would be a contention. If we were doing that divisional All-Star setup, he would be representing the Atlantic for sure. He's been lights out. To see this guy emerge from being just kind of a, fly by night in Anaheim to now being possibly one of the top at least 15 goalies in this league. And I will have goalie charts updated either tonight or tomorrow over on the Patreon page. But Stolarz has really made some significant advancements in my book. It's fun to watch goalies or just any player in the league progress like that, but especially goaltenders, because like I said, it's a thin line between being one of the best or one of the worst in this league, right? Like the margin of error is very slim, and you can go from being a top tier goalie to garbage overnight. Just ask Alexander Georgiev. So, it's one of those things that, like I said, the Hawks played well. It certainly wasn't a 4-1 blowout. It was a close game, but Stolarz made big saves. And like you said, Toronto now knows how to shell up. They know how to play smart hockey in the third period. They don't run around and take dumb penalties late. Like I said, they're not getting beat on 2-on-1s or 3-on-2s late. They're playing smart hockey in the last 20 minutes of play, and that's huge. And that changes how we have to look at the Leafs betting wise. We can't just run and bet the draw with Toronto anymore because they're not blowing those leads. It's not necessarily a team like a Boston or Islanders where they play close throughout the game and go to overtime. They were a team that had the 3-1 lead against a weak team, or had were down 1 goal against a pretty good team and found their way to get into overtime. That's not happening anymore. They're dominating when they have the lead late, and that's a mark of a quality team. That's progression and that's growth under Craig Berube. So I thought that was a very impressive win for the Leafs, but that wasn't the worst of the losses for Hawks either.
I thought Chicago worked extremely hard, played extremely hard. And I thought most nights they deserved a better fate than that for sure. But unfortunately, look, the power play was terrible again. It really, really cost them. And Toronto was opportunistic and Chicago wasn't. And Toronto just got a little better goaltending, and their team defensive game was a little bit better. And that's another thing for Chicago. How the hell do you let Austin Matthews get in the clear like that on that first goal? That's number 34, man. That's one of the great goal scorers in our sport right now. How does that happen? My goodness. Crazy. It's a breakdown that just cannot, it's unacceptable.
That was
to have a breakdown like that.
Rick Ball and Darren Payne both were kind of almost losing it to their extent of losing it necessarily. Yeah. But they were certainly weren't easy on the Hawks, but like I said, leaving him wide open in that spot. So
yeah, that's just nuts. Of all people, my goodness. Maybe have someone mark the guy for fuck's sakes. Holy goodness. But nevertheless, like I said, that was a tough moment there for that. But like I said, I like Chicago's work ethic. They just didn't have enough finish. Like I said, the Rangers' woes continue, and Dallas gets a solid road win, a nice 2-0 for Dallas, which leads me right into Matt Robinson and his thoughts on last night. And congratulations with the Evgeny Dodonov call. My goodness.
Yeah, nice.
Well done.
Yeah, appreciate that. I'll get to kind of how I came to that in a second. It's sort of funny how it went full circle, but yeah, pretty light card, obviously, last night. I mainly got to watch a little bit of that early game because it was on NHL Network here in the States. And then obviously tuned in for Dallas, Utah. So I didn't watch a ton of the Chicago-Toronto game, and I didn't have any action on it. So, I tailed you guys on the show yesterday with New Jersey. I know Ian was big on New Jersey over 3 team total and New Jersey money line. I ended up taking both of those. Obviously, very easy hit. That could have hit halfway into the first period. Jack Hughes had that breakaway, and I thought it was going to be 3-0. But
the only negative for me last night, Matt, was our Dallas first period over run came to an end. 7 straight, not last night, though, unfortunately.
Yep. Yeah. So in that New Jersey game, I did have a couple of Stefan Nason props that unfortunately did not come to fruition. Devils scoring 5 goals, him staying off the score sheet has been pretty rare this season, which, I'll take my losses when they happen because he's been very profitable so far this year. So, but yeah, easy win for New Jersey. New York, there's a lot of question marks still there. So we'll see how that kind of plays out the next couple of weeks into the holidays. And then Dallas, Utah. So obviously I saw the news Sagan went to IR earlier in the day. Not a big sweat. They've got the depth this year. I think Sagan has looked a little injured at times. He's obviously had great chemistry with that Duchesne Marchman line, but there's just like individual plays where you see him kind of moving slow. And I know Pete DeBoer said at the beginning of the year He won't be playing back-to-backs at all this year because of something he's dealing with. So I didn't expect him to play against Utah. Obviously, the going to IR was a bit of a surprise, but, it gives them some cap relief and, allows them to bring up some young guys. So no harm, no foul there. I think, he's just got to be out a minimum of a week on IR. So maybe, and I've seen rumors, maybe, it's a long-term IR situation. Maybe they decide to, try something as far as fixing whatever the issue is. We'll see what kind of happens there. But before the game, was talking to my brother, and I kind of felt that Dodonov had sort of earned the opportunity to maybe play on that Duchesne Marchman line. He's been playing really strong lately. The lineups weren't really out even in the warmups of the game because there was, an AHL guy potentially going to play. Stankoven, I think, was a maybe, see how he goes. So no real line confirmation until minutes before the game. So I went ahead and took Dodonov first goal and anytime goal, thinking that maybe he would get a chance to play with that line. Obviously saw that Stankoven was going to be placed with them. No harm, no foul. Ben and Steele have played well. They actually were out there and part of the other goal. Jamie Benn had a nice shot on a pass from Steele. So, sort of crazy. But yeah, outside of that, I did have the Stars first period over, which obviously was a miss, but I did have Stars money line minus 130, which was a nice win. I saw something pregame that Casey DeSmith was on Pittsburgh playing in their first win against Seattle. So, maybe he likes to play these expansion teams in their first game against the club. So everyone will always know, he got the win against Utah. So felt like he played really well. He's been shaky the last few starts he's had, to say the least. And I thought he played really well last night. Utah's a hungry young team. I was telling Ryan after the game, I think Dallas sort of got away. I thought they had a good chance if they went to overtime. Dallas has a lot of veterans on the team. I think they could win in overtime. But based on how much pressure Utah placed at the end of the third, I think they almost deserved a point out of that one. So Dallas it was nice for them to get 2 points and win in regulation. And they're off. I believe they play LA tomorrow night. So I'm sure they're using today as a nice day off after 2 games back to back with travel in between. So especially going to altitude, there was a lot of things that it could have been an easy spot for them to kind of lay off the gas. So I think that was a big win for them. But yeah, betting wise, great night. Anytime you can hit a plus 1900, always a very good start to the night. And, it justifies some of those missed props on Stefan and the over on the Stars game. I wasn't really worried about that after that goal was scored. So solid night last night, and hopefully we get some big ones tonight with a big 10-game card.
Yeah, looking forward to it. I think it's a very interesting card. Good spots, good opportunities. Looking forward to talking about it. I just noticed that one of our people in the chat, Don, is actually coming to us from Greece. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Wow, that's very impressive, Don. I love it. Kalispera, tikanite. How are you? My goodness. Good to see you in the chat. It is nighttime over there, so I know Kalispera is the right way to say it. It is night there right now in Greece. So good to see Don in the chat. Of course, mother side of my family, Greek/Macedonian hybrids. So we know a little Greek. We can't speak in perfect. Can't carry on a conversation. I don't know that much of it, but we know a few things, no doubt about it. And Timmy as well in the chat, of course. Tim with a last name like that, we're not splitting the atom, figuring out he's Greek. No question about that. So there you go. Tim
Strimonopoulos.
There we go. Yeah, very good. You just got to take your time, look at it sometimes, and just go. And if you do, you don't rush it, you'll get it right. All right, good stuff. Hopefully we get this card right because, like I said, we've got a lot of games on tap, a lot of interesting spots. That is not the first game. This is the first game. San Jose Sharks, Washington Capitals. We got Washington minus 300, home favorites, 6.5 being the total here in this game. Should be for Washington. First of all, let's give them their praise. Let's give them their credit. No Alex Ovechkin, no problem for the most part. Obviously, they had those 2 losses there against Colorado and New Jersey back to back. But since then, they've ripped off 4 wins in a row without the great 8 Ovi on the ice. Although that being said, he is actually technically back on the ice. He was skating earlier today. on his own. So maybe a sign that his return might be sooner rather than later for this Washington Capitals team. But 4 straight wins here for the Washington Capitals: 4-1, 5-4, 4-1 over Florida, 5-4 at Tampa, 5-4 in overtime against the New York Islanders on Black Friday, and then a nice 6-5 win in New Jersey on a back-to-back spot on Saturday. So very, very impressive from the Washington Capitals. 4 straight wins for them, and an offense that first couple games without Ovechkin was looking like, wow, Ovechkin, take him out of the lineup. Offense kind of drying up a little bit. Suddenly not so much the last 4 games in these victories, where they've scored a grand total of 20 goals in the last 4 games combined. So clearly the offense is still in decent shape. That being said, they run these Government of Ontario commercials constantly here, and they do that song, and I'm feeling good. Well, guess what? The Washington Capitals are feeling good right now. And rolling along and some big-time victories. And then after this, they go on a road trip. This is like a little stopover after playing in New Jersey the other night back home, and now they're going on the road after this for a trip that starts with the Toronto Maple Leafs on Friday night. And you got San Jose rolling in here, and suddenly they've won 3 of the last 4. Now, the last 2 were both against the Seattle Kraken. It's up to everyone's own individual judgment whether that's more good San Jose or bad Seattle right now. But nevertheless, you got to give the Sharks credit for putting a 12 spot, a dozen on the board in those 2 games combined against the Kraken for these last 2 wins. They totally outplayed Ottawa in the one loss in their last 4 games, 4-3. They outshot the Sens 39-11 in that game. They clearly deserved a better fate. They have the 7-2 win against LA. And you look at this spot for Washington, I don't like it at all. I've got this gut feel for me. This is a potential trap spot, tough spot for them going on the road. And you look at series history in Washington. Believe it or not, the San Jose Sharks have won 2 of their last 3 visits here in Washington against the Capitals. They also had a 2-1 win at the Shark Tank last year against the Washington Capitals. I'm sprinkling on the Sharkies here at plus 240 in this spot. Told you I was getting a little nuts today. I just think in this particular spot, Washington, it's a little dicey. It's a little tricky for me. They're playing really good without Ovechkin. They've shown they could score, but I'm going to take this San Jose starting a road trip. I think the focus is there. I know there's a lot of young guys in this lineup with Will Smith and Will Eklund and Macklin Celebrini. So sometimes it's the veteran teams that handle the start of a road trip better, but you do have Toffoli and veterans you can lean on like that still in a spot like this. But they have really given Washington fits here over the years. And I don't love this spot at all. You're rolling along, you're feeling good, and then you're off to the road trip after this here tonight in this game. So I'm going to sprinkle on San Jose money line, sprinkle on San Jose team total, which you can get at plus money over 2.5 here in this game. And of course, we're rocking with the best fucking first period over trend in hockey right now. You better believe it, which is now 14-1 in the last 15 Washington Capitals games. 14-1 to the first period over. We are on that first period over once again tonight, Sharks and Capitals. A full game over too, but definitely slanting more of the bet, placing more of the bet on the first period over for me, which is again 14-1 in the last 15 Washington Capitals games coming into this one here tonight. So there you go. We're looking for a little upset special here and a little shark chomp. Alex, what do you think here? Sharks, Capitals.
Yeah, I mean, I get your look with Sharks as far as, being able to pull this upset. Obviously can't back anything Washington laying this price. And like you said, certainly with the spot too of them being hot and then getting ready to go on the road. This certainly feels like it could be a game where they lose, but I like goals. I will be on that Sharks team total over, but I'm also going with the over trifecta here. Like I said, love the first period over, of course, like I said, the highest trend in hockey, but the fact that San Jose, like I said, having that business-like approach, the beginning of the first period of the road trip should definitely have some good momentum and energy. So I like both teams to score. It's plus 172 available at FanDuel with that. So over trifecta and then adding some San Jose team total over 2.5 to that plus price.
There you go. And I like the way they're playing. They're competing hard. They really are every single game lately for the San Jose Sharks, and credit to the young coach. It's a pretty good hire from what I see so far. Ryan Warsofsky, who really got through the ranks to get this opportunity, no question. And certainly he's got this team playing a good a good effort every night. Now, there's some nights that they don't always get the goaltending, and that's going to be the concern for the Sharks on certain occasions. They're still going to have those nights where they give up a few because the goaltending, one night to the next, you don't know what you're going to get. But coming into this game here tonight, we're going to get Mackenzie Blackwood. Little surprised we don't get Vanacek against his old team here, but it will be Mackenzie Blackwood. Logan Thompson in for Washington as expected here in this one. What do you think, Matt? San Jose, Washington.
Yeah, this one's going to be pretty simple for me. I'm going to hit this with a same game parlay. First period over, full game over 5.5. I know Washington's obviously on the heater that you mentioned. San Jose, they're 7 of their last 10 first period overs. 8 of their last 10 games have had a goal in the first 10 minutes. They're 7 or 8 out of 10 on their second period overs. So I just like goals in this game, and shouts to Chris Otto for always breaking down those stats for us.
Yep.
But yeah, this is a no-brainer first period. The 6.5, I don't want what happens in that New York, New Jersey game to come back to bite me. So I'm just going to take the SGP, get it right around plus money. First period over, full game over 5.5. That'll be my play on this one.
Yeah, Rich H. This is the Matt Robinson special or system play, whatever you want to call it. This over 1.5, over 5.5 that he usually likes to go with in some of these games, no doubt. So, I just think
Matty
in this
double.
price range, the Matty double, exactly. And Washington's cooled off at home. Washington had this phenomenal start to the season on home ice. They've actually dropped 3 of their last 4 games at home. Now, to all the better teams than San Jose, Toronto, New Jersey, and Colorado, but still. They haven't been nearly as good at home the last few. And like I said, just don't love this spot. I just got this eerie feeling San Jose is going to give them a battle and has a shot here to spring the massive upset in this kind of a price range, which they've done in 2 of the last 3 times they played here in Washington. All right, Detroit and Boston. Got the Bruins minus 180, home favorites, 6 the total here in this game across the board. It's another dog I had to take a small shot with. I mean, what's Boston doing laying minus 180 right now? I know with Montreal in the Centennial game, they got the job done in that game. But even in that one, I mean, they pounced on the Habs early. The Habs battled back. And in fact, it was pretty even as far as shots. It was just an opportunistic Bruins team there with that 6-3 win. This is also the same Bruins team that was a similar sized favorite on Friday night in Black Friday against Pittsburgh, and lost by a score of 2-1. I mean, for me, get this massive favorite price out of here. I mean, I can't take this price with Boston right now. I know they've got still the winning record, 4-2, since the coaching change with Joe Sacco taking over. But the wins were Utah, Islanders, Montreal. It's sisters of the poor stuff right there. And Detroit was one of those wins in Detroit by a score of 2-1. And then you look at Detroit. I know they've struggled here. 2 losses in a row over the weekend. New Jersey 5-4 at home. Vancouver 5-4 in overtime. Struggling to keep the puck out of the net, which, look, coming into the year was definitely something we were concerned about with the Detroit Red Wings. This is not so much a ringing endorsement for me of Detroit, because clearly they've got issues too. Ville Husso is back in net tonight for the Detroit Red Wings. He has got a pretty bad record. I get it. 4.92 goals against, 818 save percentage. It'll be his first start since, he started against Vancouver. He's back in here in this one. The Rangers and the Penguins he started October. He's just not played a lot of hockey right now, but unfortunately, because injuries to Cam Talbot and Alex Lyon have kind of forced Detroit's hand, that they just simply have to go with Ville Husso right now, with both Talbot and Lyon on the injured list for this hockey team. So, that's the dicey part of taking Detroit here, is because you don't know what you're going to get from Husso, and Husso's previous numbers are not good so far this season. So, but I am still going to take a small shot with Detroit here, plus 150 in this spot. It's interesting with the total, because you got Corpy on the other side for Boston getting the start here for the Bruins, although his numbers aren't that bad. And you could argue he's been at times better than Swayman. 2.45 goals against average, 907 save percentage for him, but still not someone I'm totally rushing to take a look at the laying a price like this with him when he's in between the pipes. So for me, a small bet on Detroit, nothing substantial, but I just find Boston minus 180. Their overall body of work, even since the coaching change, has not been good enough to me to say, hey, let's lay minus 180 with this group right now. Alex, what do you think here? Detroit, Boston.
I took a small shot with the draw, just because if you look at Detroit's games, they could have gone 9 of the last 10 games could have gone past regulation. The way that they've played close in some of these battles back and forth. And so this is definitely at plus 375 at BetMGM. That's the best price that's available. I thought it was worth enough for the draw. But I don't like anything side or even total here in this point. Like, so at Boston, they're just so up and down and erratic. I wouldn't mind seeing Boston win this game because it would set up a really good betting spot Wednesday night when they travel to Chicago to fade them. So if they do win this game, there's a possibility that that might be a play Wednesday, fading the Bees. But like I said, they're still not in the best of form. The coach bump wasn't enough. They still have a lot of issues and stuff, and I don't trust either goalie right now. Like I said, I know it's going to be Korpisalo now and Swayman on Wednesday, but it's just this is just a weird Boston team. Like I said, that win that they got against Montreal, and that was, I think, predicated more on the fact that was just the Centennial game, the energy. They, we talked about that, how maybe you fall flat or maybe you pick up your energy when you have that kind of a ceremony. They certainly picked up the energy there, but I just don't trust this Boston team right now. And he said Detroit, even at plus 150, not really rushing to back them now either.
Yeah, no question. Should be interesting. I'm kind of with you there on that. What do you think here, Matt? Detroit, Boston.
I'm not going to trust Boston at any point, especially now minus 180. So I'm going to take a shot with Detroit, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to split it money line and team total over 2.5. I think I saw Korpisalo 3 of his last 4 games.
That's what I'm doing. Goals. I forgot to mention I'm doing that too. There's no way I'm putting it all on the money line with Husso and net. You got to split it up with the team total. Totally agree.
Yeah, and I'm seeing it like minus 110, minus 115, which is a pretty good price for them to score 3 goals. Yeah. So that'll probably be my only play. I could make a case for totals in this game, but we've got a big card, so this isn't one that I love. So I'm just going to stick with that money line and team total over 2.5.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Like I said, as far as the props go for this particular game, like I said, I forgot to mention McMichael, Protas for the Washington-San Jose game, and also for San Jose, Eklund, Celebrini, Zetterlund, that line. I mean, target them. I mean, they're playing well. And then for this game, as far as the props go, Michael Rasmussen's playing with Larkin and Raymond now, so a little bit of a shakeup. And Tyler Mott's playing on the second line with the Cat and Comfer. So there's a little value probably with Mott. There's probably a little value with Rasmussen. We like the way Raymond's playing right now for sure. And Jonathan Berggren scored the other day against Vancouver, and he continues to be a little under the radar prop for Detroit right now as well. Those would be some of the ones I'd be targeting there. Can Charlie Coyle heat up? We're waiting for him to finally give this team some secondary offense for this group. And Geeky, to me, still has some good value as long as he stays on that top line with Zacha and Pasternak. All right, Florida, Pittsburgh. Florida minus 180 road favorite, 6.5 being the total here in this game. We have a Spencer Knight and Tristan Jarry goaltending matchup confirmed. Bobrovsky didn't even travel with the team to Pittsburgh. Not an injury situation, though. This is his wife expecting their next child. So he will not be with the team here tonight. So it'll be Spencer Knight getting the nod in net for the Florida Panthers. Tristan Jarry gets the start here for the Pittsburgh Penguins in this game. Spencer Knight, someone who's battled back from mental demons, mental issues, as we know. And I'll be honest, give him credit. A nice, solid performance that he's really given this team in the last three starts he's had here in the month of November. In the last 3 starts he had in November, 2 goals, and a shutout against Carolina on Saturday. So credit to the kid. We know the kid's got great talent. We know there's a reason why Florida was so excited, about Spencer Knight when they got him, because they know what he's capable of, and he's had to deal with so much stuff off the ice, and to see him put it behind him and really start to play well in net, it's great to see. Tristan Jarry for the Penguins, who honestly is finally starting to play some good hockey again. It took a while, and his numbers, even with the recent stretch, are still pretty weak. 3.88 goals against, 881 save percentage, but the performance against Boston was very good. We'll see if he can keep that going. It was one of his best starts. It probably was, quite honestly, his best start of the year. But it's the Bruins. They have trouble scoring. Can't forget the fact that he did give up 3+ goals in 4 straight starts before that. We'll see how this one plays out. But if you actually look at Florida versus Pittsburgh historically, Florida's won 4 straight times versus the Pittsburgh Penguins. Not a surprise there. And they have scored 4 goals or more in 2 of them, including the one game, the most recent meeting in Pittsburgh last year, which was last February. The Panthers got a 5-2 win in Pittsburgh over the Penguins. So for me here, I like more than anything Panthers team total That's the way to approach. I mean, I don't want to lay this kind of a price with them on the road. I'll give Pittsburgh some credit for winning a few in a row here, 3-game win streak. But let's really unfurl these 3 wins, shall we? Vancouver with Shelovs in net in a tough spot on a back-to-back for the Vancouver Canucks. I devalue that win. Simple as that. You got Shelovs in net, who's struggling, and you got the Canucks on a back-to-back when you beat them 5-4. You played a Boston team that you don't know what you're going to get night to night. They've been disappointing, and they don't always score. So, take a little off that win against Boston. Calgary stinks right now. So beating them 6-2 does nothing for me. I mean, this has been a brutal road trip for the Calgary Flames. So these 3 wins are sisters of the poor wins, in my opinion. Or you got a team in a bad spot. You got a team with a weaker goalie. You got, that's the problem with Pittsburgh's 3 wins. None of them are all that impressive to me. This is a step up. So I like Florida team total over 3.5. The best way to bet it. I mean, I don't want to lay minus 180. I do think they can get 4 goals here. Jari's got to show against a team other than Boston he can play well. What do you think here, Alex? Florida, Pittsburgh.
I like Florida in regulation. I laid minus 115 with this at FanDuel. Like I said, this is just a Pittsburgh team that's the wins on paper. You can't trust this 3-game win streak the same way you can with Florida's 3-game win streak. Or
a phony win streak. Vancouver. Yeah. I mean, the Vancouver was Shelovs. Boston's erratic. Calgary stinks right now. I mean, are we really getting that excited for these 3 wins?
No, not at all. No. So yeah, just keeping this one simple. Florida regulation minus 115 is my only play here.
I lean that way too. Matt, what do you think here? Florida, Pittsburgh.
Yeah, not much to add. I honestly, I'm all Florida here. I'm not laying minus 180, so I may split it up and take what both of you guys mentioned. A little bit on team total over 3.5 and a little bit on Florida in regulation. I think those are both good looks.
Yeah. And the only thing that concerned me initially when I looked at Florida, because I said, how do I not take Florida team total or something here? What do they have on deck? They got Philly and San Jose on deck. There's no look ahead whatsoever. Okay, they're starting a road trip here. So focus is, I think Paul Maurice bag skating their ass really whipped them into shape because they haven't lost since then. They beat down Toronto. They smoked Carolina back-to-back games, 12-3 combined score. So that was the wake-up call they needed. They're looking like the champs again here the last 3 games. All right, next up, we've got Colorado, Buffalo. Colorado minus 160 road favorites, 6.5 the total. I agree with Cuban Wayne Gretzky, Evan Rodriguez, former Penguin with Florida. It's a good goal prop in that game. I agree with that. System play here, of course. First period over, full game over with Colorado and Buffalo Sabres off a shutout loss in their last game to the New York Islanders, 3-0. So we got the system in effect here. Not to mention we have Colorado off back-to-back losses, including a game where you don't see them held to 1 goal very often. But they were against Edmonton on Saturday night, losing 4-1 to the Oilers. So I think there's going to be some onus on them trying to get going offensively here to begin this road trip. And this is a great road trip coming up. There's some tests coming up at Carolina, at New Jersey for Colorado. So this will be a nice road trip to see where they're at currently. Alexander Georgiev is confirmed in net for the Avs. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen projected. No confirmation there just yet. Injury's still a problem, though, for the Colorado Avalanche. Colton and Wood, they got those guys back for a bit. Now they're on the IR again. Josh Manson's still on the IR. Jonathan Drouin is out again right now for the Colorado Avalanche. So I'm on the fence about taking I know I don't want Colorado at this price, minus 160 on the road. That being said, here we go again with Buffalo. They had a nice little West Coast trip there, and they've gone 0-3 since, losing to Minnesota and Vancouver at home and then getting blanked by the New York Islanders. Not exactly a recent resume that has me feeling that they can step up in class even at home here, taking on the Colorado Avalanche, even if Buffalo did beat them last year 4-0, believe it or not, here at home against Colorado as a big home underdog last year. Can that carry over to this game? I don't know, but for me, it's just the system play. Over 1.5 first period, over 6. Actually, you can get 6 at a couple of books, so shop around. There's 6.5s at some, 6 at others. Shop around. If you can find the 6, make sure you jump on that if you're on the full game over. But yeah, system play for me. Alex, what do you think here? Avs, Sabres.
Yeah, this will be one where I'll bet the system play in game live. I'll try to look for a little bit cheaper of a price with the first period and that full game over. You can also do, like we talked about, the Matty double, the over 1.5 combined with the 5.5. You could be creative with it, but I expect goals here. I don't like it either side, and don't trust the regulation. This would be a game that could get crazy and find its way to overtime, tied at 5. So just looking for totals in game.
All right, good stuff. Updated numbers with the system play. We'll just get those up for you now. It's still pretty good overall. Like, obviously, it was just on a tear about a month ago, the system play. It's had some ups and downs the last, 2-3 weeks, but for the season overall, it's still 30-18 with first period overs, 27, 17, and 4 with full game overs, which
That's
is still
fantastic.
really good. Yeah,
Yeah.
no doubt. Still really good. So we're still rocking with it. It's still been a great body of work overall with the system play, which is, of course, first period and full game over in games for teams after a shutout loss, which is the case
Yeah, I don't
here.
know about both teams to score in this one. I'm not as crazy on that
Yeah.
one like I like with San Jose Washington. So
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I'm just sticking with the over 1.5, over 6.
yeah, same.
Yeah, exactly. Matt, what do you think here? Colorado, Buffalo.
That'll really be my play. I'm gonna same game parlay at first period over, full game over 5.5. Especially with 6s out there, it should be a good plus price if you take both of those. I honestly lean Buffalo here. I may throw a sprinkle on Buffalo, but I go back and forth on that. So are the goalies confirmed in this one? I'm kind of looking at.
Yeah, Georgiev for Colorado is confirmed. We're just waiting on Buffalo, but we expect UPL. I expect it to be UPL. Yeah.
So that also kind of leans it. If tonight would have been, Wedgwood's first start for the Avs, I think, maybe I would lean Colorado here a little heavier, but Georgiev's just been so inconsistent.
Yeah.
And I know Buffalo is a team that can score. That's why we like the goals here. So, but yeah, same game parlay on this one. As Alex mentioned, I could see this being 5-5 and going to OT. So let's just hope for some goals.
Yeah, exactly. And the good thing about Colorado injury-wise is that does open up player prop value. Obviously Lehkonen is still with McKinnon and Rantanen, and that doesn't change. But Kovalenko's moved up to the second line with Middlestat and Big Val Nichushkin, and Kovalenko scored their only goal against Edmonton on Saturday night. So I like Nikolai Kovalenko. Good value there. Ivan goal, perhaps. He's playing on the third line, centering that third line for the Avs of late. For Buffalo, I'd look at Benson. I'd look at Zucker. Zucker's playing with Thompson and Tuck now on the top line. The old vet, Jason Zucker, right now for the Buffalo Sabres. So I think there's probably some good value for him. And I think he scored 2 goals a few games ago for Buffalo. So I like the value there with old Zook, getting that opportunity with Thompson and Tuck on the top line here for the Sabres tonight. All right, next up, Seattle and Carolina. Carolina minus 300 home favorites. 6 the total here in this game. This is a systems galore game. Now, I will say this with a ton of caution, okay? Seattle, once again, does fit the system of betting on a team after losing to San Jose, but the problem is we just saw them in that system Saturday at home against San Jose after losing in San Jose, facing the same Sharks team. It's the first time someone's been in the system play betting on them after losing to San Jose when they play San Jose again, and that was really bad for Seattle to lose again to the Sharks, lose in the fashion they did, to get just smoked in the first period and dig yourself that kind of early hole, be down 2-0 early. Now they tried to battle back, but too little, too late. They lose 4-2. They lose the back-to-back games against San Jose. Now they go on this road trip, and look, Seattle hasn't been great on the road either, 4-7, and you're starting this tough road trip through the New York teams after this, and you start with a Carolina team that is going to be just a little bit pissed off maybe after losing back-to-back games to the Florida Panthers over the weekend. I know they're not happy with the way things went. 6-3 loss in the first meeting here at home against the Panthers. 6-0 shutout loss in the second meeting against the Florida Panthers as well. Look, Rod Brindamore, when he faces good teams with his goaltending situation, with where it was, you're going to have some issues. There's no question about that. However, help is on the way for the Carolina Hurricanes tonight, and not a moment too soon. I don't know how much longer they could have gone around with the Spencer Martin and Yaniv Peretz combination in net. But thankfully for the Carolina Hurricanes, the ailment for Pyotr Kochetkov was not severe. The concussion issues were not continuing to linger, and he was still having head trauma and symptoms of it. The symptoms have cleared, and Pyotr Kochetkov will make his return and be the starting goalie in net tonight for the Carolina Hurricanes. So that is huge, obviously, for Carolina. We're looking at, by the way, Chandler Stevenson day-to-day for the Seattle Kraken. He didn't play against San Jose Saturday. It doesn't look like he may return here either. Joey Decord is projected to be in net here for the San Jose Sharks. I think or for the Seattle Kraken, rather. He gave up 4 goals against the San Jose Sharks. I think you have to go to him because Philip Grubauer, man, the last couple times we've seen him, whoa, it's been tough sledding for the veteran netminder. So you probably have to kind of go with Joey Decord here in this game. So here's where I'm at with this game because I did – the smallest bet I've got is I did grab small Seattle plus 240, just the system being 6-2, but I don't feel great about it. They're not playing well. That's alarming when you lose 2 in a row to San Jose. And Carolina's lost 2 in a row decisively to the Florida Panthers. They've been off since Saturday, and they're rested and ready to probably unload on somebody. So I don't love it, but it's the system. I have to take it. And that's Seattle plus 240. But I'm also on Carolina team total over 3.5, which is still 16-4 in their last 20 games, even after the last 2 games falling below 4 goals against Florida. I think they get back to 4 goals or more tonight. The Seattle team, what did we do? We just saw them get ripped for 12 goals by San Jose. So that's what I like more. I'm telling you, if you're going to take the Seattle money line and the Carolina team total over 3.5, minus 130 like I have, just make sure to be aware that for sure Carolina team total is the stronger opinion for me of the two. No question about that. Carolina team total over 3.5, minus 130. And even with Kochetkov back, which worries me a bit, we have Carolina off a shutout loss. And for that reason, we're on the system play here. First period over and full game over. And I love Kochetkov. Alex loves Kochetkov. And he's a hell of a lot better than Spencer Martin. We're not splitting the atom figuring that one out. But he has been out for a while, and he's missed some time. And sometimes that first game, you're not always on top of it. You're not always in your best form. So we'll see if that's the case here for Kochetkov. And either way, it is the system. We bet it. Simple as that. First period over, full game over here as well. Alex, Seattle, Carolina.
Yeah, this game actually ended up being a game that I have a lot on. So I am on the system play, like I said, over 6, minus $1.15. And I do like the first period over 1.5, minus 125. That's because I like everything Carolina first period. I'm on Carolina first period puck line, laying the half a goal plus 118 is available at Caesars. And I'm also going with that FanDuel first period correct score stack. So we're looking at first period. Here we go. Bring up the numbers. First period, Carolina 1-0 plus 410. Carolina 2-0 at plus 830. And 10-1 for Carolina with a 2-1 lead after the 20 minutes. So the stack in the first period with the correct score, first period puck line with Carolina, and I like the system play first period and full game over with the 6.
All right, good stuff indeed. You know what? This is also a game too. I'm just going to see what the prices are here at BetMGM. But that I'm going to dabble on a little over 1.5 Carolina team total in the first period. I feel this could be just a storm in here tonight for the Carolina Hurricanes. And like I said, the only reason I bet Seattle plus 240 in this game is because of the system with the betting on after a loss to San Jose. But I don't feel great about it. And they're getting Carolina in a bad mood off 2 losses in a row. And I think it could be one of those. It could be. And Carolina's a classic team to do this. When they're at home and they've lost a couple in a row, you know how many times they've gotten a quick 2 goals in the opening period? It's happened quite a bit. So this could be one of those nights to look at an over 1 minus 105 and an over 1.5 plus 190 with Carolina team total in the first period.
Okay, so now here's a suggestion for the viewers. Perhaps you make your Seattle plus 240 if you want to track and you want to tail that system. You make that a smaller play pregame.
No.
You go with everything Carolina. If everything Carolina hits, now you take that money and then you play back with Seattle live at a better price, and you're still putting yourself in a decent position. You know, rather than getting 240 and putting a full unit on it, you can put a quarter unit on 240. And now, if you still think Seattle finds a way to come back, if it's goals back and forth, you can be grabbing a 4 plus 400 plus 500 range, and they could possibly come back with 6. Because this could be, if Seattle can get, Seattle has the, we talk about this all the time with Seattle, right? I feel like I'm repeating myself. They have the horses offensively. It's just that they can't consistently get it done. But if Carolina can draw them into a game where they come out to an early lead, make Seattle play full up tempo and be just completely offensive minded. Then we could see this game open up, go over the total, and you could have a shot at Seattle live coming back. So there's a lot of ways to bet this game live from just on the strategy of the bets we have pregame.
Yeah, no question about that. So yeah, exactly. Looking forward to this game. Like I said, lots to like. And but the ultimate result for me tonight would be something like maybe Seattle pulls a stunner and they just play one of the best games they've played all year. The offense gets going, and all of a sudden, whoa, here we go. Where they all of a sudden pile up, get some goals. Maybe Kochetkov's a little rusty in his return. But if I can somehow pull out, give me a 2-0 or 2-1 Carolina first period, where you hit all the first period over, the team totals hit for Carolina, but Seattle battles back. For some reason, they get things going, and somehow if you can get me to a 5-4 final for Seattle, it's just a beautiful that could sweep the board in this game if that happens. That's asking for a lot, but yeah.
That's really not. With these two teams, the way that things are set up, it's all predicated on Seattle. But 5 goals in a win from Carolina is not asking too much from them. It's 4 goals in a losing effort from Seattle that might be a little tough, because 4 goals could either mean a win or 4 goals. Like I said, unless they completely shit defensively and they end up giving a 7 or 8 up, could be a bit drastic.
So Terry Ray Vegas, great stat, but the only thing I'm asking is that just the first period over, or is that Carolina's team total over 1.5?
I think that's first period over.
I think that's just first period over. That's what I thought too. Yeah. Although he's got it phrased as Canes over 1.5 goals. Is that like the team total, or is that just the first period over? And we'll get some clarification on that.
Yeah.
I'd have to look at it. I think from just on top of my head, I know the first period over lately at home for Carolina has been just crazy good. But again, this is the Martin games, right? This is with the goalie injuries. That's why we've been all over, all kinds of these overs. I think it is the first period over just in general that he is talking about, but it's been very strong, no question, of late. But I still like it tonight because it's the system play. You got Carolina off a shutout loss. Yeah, first period over Canes games. That's exactly what I thought. Yeah, good stuff there. Yeah, and it's the system play. And as much as we love Kochetkov, you've been out for a while. You haven't played in a little bit of time. Are you going to be right on top of it and making 40 saves and stealing a game your first start back? No, I'm not so sure. He's going to be great, obviously, when he gets a couple games under his belt, but it's not always easy to be at your best coming back from injury. What do you think here, Matt? Seattle, Carolina?
Nothing surprising coming from me and not too much to add. Carolina coming off that shutout. I'll obviously be on the Matty Rob special, SGP. I like goals in the first. I like goals over. And I'm going to jump back on Carolina team total over 3.5 as well. It's been a pretty good run. And the fact that they got shut out 6-0, I think they're back at home. I think asking them to score 4 goals in this game is not a big stretch. So for you, Ian, hopefully it's 7-6 Seattle wins and everybody's happy with everything. But yeah, I think Carolina rolls this one tonight.
Well, and we talked about how Carolina scoring 4 goals or more, 16-4 in their last 20 games overall, as far as getting to the 4-goal mark. On home ice lately, it's been even better. I'm looking at it right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9-1. 9-1 in the last 10 home games to the team total over 3.5 for Carolina. So 9 of the last 10 Carolina home games, the Hurricanes have scored at least 4 goals. So, and the only one was against Florida on Friday. Florida was chomping at the bit in that game. And actually, they still got 3 goals and had chances to get to 4. So it was a narrow miss for the one game out of the last 10 at home for Carolina where they did not score 4 goals. So, yeah, that team total's, I think, a great bet tonight with Carolina. And I like the system play as well. It's the Seattle one I'm a little worried about, but it's the bet on after losing the San Jose system, so we still have to take it. All right, the New York Islanders and Montreal Canadiens. We've got the Islanders minus 135, road favorites, 5.5 being the total here in this game. The Islanders, how about that, with a shutout win against Buffalo? Patrick Waugh with the quote after one of the losses last week saying, this is the team Lou gave me. Yeah, that's really throwing your GM under the bus there. Not exactly the kind of things you want to be seeing your coach say about your GM publicly, but Nevertheless, the Islanders did find a way against the Buffalo Sabres, got themselves a solid win there in that game. We'll see if they can follow that up here as they take on the Montreal Canadiens. Montreal had a very tough 2 games, of course, on the road over the weekend. They had to play the Boston Bruins. They had to play a desperate New York Rangers team. They end up losing to both teams over the weekend. So now they get back home, though, following the Centennial game on Sunday, hosting the New York Islanders. I am still not in the business of laying $1.35 on the road here with the New York Islanders in this spot, even after a shutout win against the Buffalo Sabres the other night. And look, for Montreal, there is a bit of anticipation for tonight, excitement probably around the hockey team, simply because of the fact that they get Patrick Laine back in the lineup, back on the ice, and finally making his Montreal Canadiens debut for the Bleu, Blanc et Rouge tonight. And not a moment too soon. This is a guy that they thought could be that piece that's going to work well with some of their young players like Cole Caulfield and Uri Slafkovsky. It looks like for his first game with Montreal, Marty St. Louis will place him on the second line with Kirby Dach. Boy, Kirby Dach is the target of a lot of scorn right now from Montreal Canadiens fans about the way he's playing right now. But Laine with Dach and Slafkovsky, Newhook, Suzuki, and Caulfield, your top line. So putting him on the second line, it looks like he will get on the power play, number 1 power play unit for the Habs tonight. Again, this is he's back actually quicker than I thought, because there were people thought he might not be back till late in the year, if not till January. So this is definitely a good sign for the Habs to have him back this soon. We'll see how he looks in his Habs debut, but it could be a little shot in the arm for usually when it's a big-time player or one of the players you're excited about, one of your top 6 coming back when you're winning. It's a bet against spot. But when you're bringing in a Patrick Laine when you've lost 4 of your last 5, it could be a bit of a bet on spot and a bit of a shot in the arm here tonight for Montreal. So I'm going to do a Montreal money line, Montreal team total over sprinkle here tonight with the Isles and the Habs. Over 2.5 team total for the Habs is -130. Montreal +115 money line as well. And you look at this head-to-head series. 2 of the 4 meetings last year went past regulation. Both of those were in Long Island. The games in Montreal didn't, but they were a 1-goal game and a 2-goal game with an empty netter. Montreal's gone to overtime 2 of the last 4 games as well. I think the Thailanders are back in full effect tonight as well. So give me the draw here as well, in addition to those 2 Montreal looks with the split between the Habs money line and the Habs team total. Alex, Islanders, Canadiens.
Yep, my only play here is the draw. I grab +333 at BetMGM, and Caesars have that price. See +300 or lower at places like BetOnline and also FanDuel. So definitely shop around. Don't want to go below 300 with that. Just the draw here with the Islanders and the Habs.
There you go. I like that draw. Make sure you shop around. We're not getting FanDuel's not giving us the best prices anymore the last week or so. I've noticed that. There's been an adjustment at FanDuel. I think we're taking them to the cleaners with some of these draws, I think, the last year or so. And now you got to look. BetMGM is where to be now, is the place to be. You're getting, like, in some cases with the draw, 50, 60, 70 cents better at BetMGM right now than FanDuel.
It was +300 for Detroit and Boston draw at FanDuel, +375 at BetMGM. So please shop around.
Yeah, no doubt. Make sure you're getting yourself, because it's going to matter, especially if you cash these. Because they're bankroll boosters when they hit, but they're not so much the bankroll boosters when you're betting +290 draw when there's +360 or +370 out there. So that's exactly why we preach that. Have multiple outs. It makes a world of difference. Trust me, long term. Matt, what do you think? Oh, go ahead, Alex. Yeah.
I was going to say, because even if you have a book strictly for draws, I know there's a lot of people who had FanDuel just the account to play draw bets with the NHL. So even if you have out that has a better draw price than anything else, and that's all you use that for, that's still better than just settling for a cheaper price.
Yeah, exactly. Good advice there. Banged up, too. Let's be honest. They got injuries down the middle of the ice at center with Cizikas and Pajot and Barzal for the Islanders, too. So, I know they showed the capabilities of being able to survive, but you're going to have to maybe consider moving Pierre Engvall to the third-line center. I don't know if that's a good thing. You're going to maybe call someone up. You're going to have to shift someone over from the wing to center, possibly. But, yeah, they've got cluster injuries down the middle at center ice, and It's not exactly what you want to see either if you're the Islanders. Matt, what do you think here? Isles Habs.
On a card with 10 games, this is just not one that I have anything on. It's going to be a pass for me. I do expect some bump from Line coming back from Montreal, so I can make a case here for Montreal, but it's just a game that won't be tuning into, so I'm just going to stay off for today.
I would agree with that. No problem with that. I should say I agree with that. I don't agree with it because I am involved in this game, but I see where you're coming from. It's okay to pass, no doubt, on a game that you don't have a strong opinion on, no doubt. All right, next up, we've got St. Louis and Winnipeg. The Winnipeg Jets, their first little bit of adversity that they are facing. Minus 220 home favorites, the total sitting at 5.5, shaded to the over in this game. You've got the Winnipeg Jets who had this almost historic start to the year with the record. And suddenly that record, due to being only 3-6 in their last 9 games, 1-4 in their last 5 games, due to this little funk for the first time this year that they've had a little bit of a losing skid. They're now 18-7. And it's hard to believe, even with the losing skid, they still have that 18-7 record going into this game here tonight between these two teams. But like I said, we kind of figured that, especially with that lengthy-ass road trip that they were on, they were going to go through some a little regression, a little bit of a downturn, and we have started to see that. They lost the 2 games back-to-back in Florida. They did come back and beat Florida at home, and they started that road trip with a win against a weak Pittsburgh team. But since then, they lose to Nashville on the road 4-1. They have the win against Minnesota was a pretty good one. I'll give them that. But Hellebuck was phenomenal. I thought Minnesota outplayed them. And then after that, 3 straight losses to end the trip against Los Angeles, Vegas, and Dallas. And this is another case of look at Winnipeg's schedule going back to about November the 9th. They have had to travel to their next game in every game since November the 9th. November the 9th, they hosted Dallas. They won 4-1. Then they went on the road for 3, the New York Rangers, Tampa, and Florida. Then they came back home to play Florida again. And then they went on the road for 6 straight after that one stop back home in Winnipeg. And now here they are back home, first game after that 6-game trip. So the Jets have had to fly, basically, and travel to every game since November the 9th. And only now are they finally going to have a couple of games in. Well, no, they won't, actually. What the hell? They're on the road again for 2 more after tonight at Buffalo and Columbus after this game. So they keep traveling, after this. So the 1-game stopover after 6 games. We're into the holiday season now. Distractions fucking galore. Wives and kids need shit done for them at this time of year, close to Christmas when you've been on the road for 6 straight. This is a horrible spot for Winnipeg. And guess who's coming into town? The new resurgent St. Louis Blues under Jimmy Montgomery. That's who's coming to town. Now, I should have known that Philly game was a bit of a dicey game for them, and I didn't like St. Louis as much in that game. I still took St. Louis, but I didn't like them as much in that spot as I did in the 2 games on the road when they beat the Rangers and they beat the Devils as big underdogs. Because I thought, now you're back home. It's Monty's first home game. Maybe some distractions for them going into that game. Philly's been playing feisty hockey, and sure enough, Philly beat them 3-2 in overtime. But I still liked what I saw from the Blues. They didn't have their best game. They battled back to get a point, tied the game late in the 3rd period and got a point. They still have yet to lose in regulation under Jim Montgomery in the 3 games he's been there. I think we have ourselves a very live road underdog tonight. Give me St. Louis, plus 180. Winnipeg is slumping finally for the first time. They've been on the road forever. They've been traveling every game since November the 9th. Now for 1 measly home game, they're back home for this game, and then they're back on the road again. Distractions galore. Not a team in the form of a minus 220 favorite. And like I said, St. Louis is just a little whisker away from being 3-0 under their new head coach, Jim Montgomery. So I love this price. I love this spot. Now we get St. Louis back where they've been good under Monty in the first 2 games, right? Big road underdog, stepping up in class a little bit. That's where St. Louis has been good here since the coaching change. Give me those Blues at this big price. Alex, what do you think? St. Louis, Winnipeg.
Right there with you. I grabbed plus 185, which is still available at MGM, available at Caesars as well. Like I said, when you look at this bump up for St. Louis combined with this bad of a scheduling spot for Winnipeg, and even when you look at the series history, yes, Winnipeg has won 9 of the last 10 meetings. All have been very close games. Those 4-2, 5-2, they were empty net goals late. You look at the box scores of these series. There's several games in this series. they've been closer than the final scores indicate. So this is definitely a spot here where St. Louis at plus 180, plus 185 is a buy for me.
Back in the price, back in the roll, back in the spot I like them in St. Louis here. Like with the Rangers when I cashed with them as a best bet on the show, by the way. New Jersey game where I cashed with them as a best bet on the show. Big road dogs. Then they turned into a home favorite against Philly. And right when I saw them laying minus 130, it's like, I got to bet St. Louis because I'm riding the coaching change and they've played well. But I didn't love it as much against Philadelphia Saturday. It's why I didn't make it a best bet on Saturday on the show. And I thought that was a game they maybe could lose. And sure enough, the Flyers did beat them. But now they're back in the role in the spot I like tonight, St. Louis, against now a Winnipeg team that's finally facing a little emotion. You know, they've been punched in the mouth now on this road trip, Winnipeg. Let's see if they can punch back. And yes, they do miss Nikolai Ehlers. It's an excellent point in the chat. No question. Hellebuck and Hofer, by the way, are the and they miss Sandberg too. What's his name for the Jets that follows them? Weeb's World on the Jets broadcasts on television over the years. The Weeb's World. It's like trying to be funny, like Wayne's World. But Ken Weeb has covered the Jets for a long time. When Dylan Sandberg went on IR, he said he's been one of their best shutdown D-men all year. And that's who you're losing. That's who you're taking out of the lineup with Winnipeg losing him. So it's not just the Ehlers being on IR, which is a big loss. Dylan Sandberg is an underrated loss. No one's talking about that. They're a worse blue line without him. No question about that. And I think that's negatively impacting the Jets a little bit as well. You know, Binnington's been really good. Hofer's a little more inconsistent, but he's had the one start under Monty, and he played well in it against the New York Rangers. It actually was one of Hofer's better outings. He outplayed Shesterkin. When I know Shesterkin's having his issues right now, but that's still saying something, in my opinion.
Even though Winnipeg has been a team that has not gone to overtime a lot, I wouldn't rush and bet Blues regulation. I would just go in and I wouldn't get too greedy with that. I'd just go plus 180, 185 with the regular money on it.
No, I agree with that. They're going to play. They're going to grind out games, win close games under Monty.
And when they do, it's divisional games. If the Jets play close and go to OT, it's within the division. So that's why I wouldn't be rushing to bet anything regulation.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, Matt. How about you? St. Louis, Winnipeg.
Definitely a tough spot for Winnipeg. Long road trip, finally home. You know, bags are still packed to go back on the road. So I do like St. Louis here. I think Monty clearly has St. Louis in better form than when he got there. They've been good on the road. So I think this is just one of those unfortunate spots. I know Winnipeg is sort of in a rut and needs a big win. So I could see it going both ways. But, you know, I think Hellebuck played good enough to win on Sunday night. He was lights out. So, you know, if he's not perfect in this one, I think St. Louis has a good chance to get it done. So, yeah, give me the Blues plus 180.
All right. Good props, too, in this game. No question. There's some good, especially on the St. Louis side. We like Bolduc and the way he's played. You know who I really like is heating up, too, now with the new coach, Montgomery, now, and he's healthy again. Holloway, celebrate if we bet on Holloway. Take some time to celebrate. Dylan Holloway, man, I'm telling you. Dylan Holloway's been really, really solid here these 3 games under Monty so far. We saw him get 2 goals against Jersey in the 3-0 win, scored the other night against Philadelphia as well. Dylan Holloway, no question, worth a look here tonight for the St. Louis Blues once again. That was such a great bold move by Doug Armstrong to put that offer sheet out there for him. And I know Edmonton was not thrilled losing him. No question about that. But, yeah, Dylan Holloway, like I said, I like the way he's playing. All right, Vancouver and Minnesota. Minnesota minus 140, home favorites, 5.5 the total. This is not a great feeling I have taking Vancouver tonight, plus 120 in this game, because it's the end of this very long road trip, that's been pretty good overall for the Vancouver Canucks. They're 4-1 on this trip, wins against Ottawa, Boston, Buffalo, and Detroit. The only loss was Pittsburgh, 5-4 when Shelovs got the assignment in net. We know he struggled. But the fact remains, they've been great on this road trip. I expect it's now confirmed, I believe, or is it? No, not yet. That's the only thing I'm waiting on, though, is Lankinen to be confirmed. Lankinen's undefeated on the road this year as a starting goalie. I would expect it to be him for sure. I mean, no question about that. But it hasn't been confirmed yet. Phil Hronik's still out for the Vancouver Canucks on the blue line, but they've been able to manage without him. Philip Gustafson confirmed in net for the Minnesota Wild. If it's Lankinen, I've just got to take it with the great 10-2. If they're 10-2 as a team on the road Vancouver, but they're 10-0, perfect 10-0 on the road when Kevin Lankinen has started for them. So if it's Lankinen, Vancouver's a go for me at plus 120. But my one concern is this is the end of this long 6-game road trip. They go home to face Columbus after this. It's already been a good road trip, even if they lose tonight. Is this a clunker waiting to happen for the Vancouver Canucks tonight? That does concern me going into this game, but I've still got to take Vancouver at this price with the road record, and especially if Lankinen's in net. But I am concerned about, it's already been a great road trip. You're excited to get back home. You don't play your best here. You lay an egg. You have a clunker. Not to mention, you've also had a brutal time of it in Minnesota. 5 straight losses here at XL for the Vancouver Canucks. So I don't love it, but we've been riding Vancouver on this trip. Lankinen's not lost on the road yet. We're taking it, but there's no doubt there's a little trepidation in this man's body with this Canucks bet. What do you think here, Alex? Vancouver, Minnesota.
I have to wait for a goalie confirmation. And if it is Lankinen starting, I'm actually going to be on the draw plus 340. I think this could definitely be a
Vancouver's been a draw machine on this road trip, actually.
They've been a draw machine on this. And keep in mind, too, I wouldn't be, if I had to play a gun to my head over or under, I would be looking anywhere under instead of over. Keep in mind, the last time these two teams met here at XL Energy Center, it was BC Lions losing 7 and the Vikings scoring 10. It was an insane game that went back and forth. It's the game that broke Casey DeSmith, essentially. And it's the reason why Artur Shilov's even made the team with the injury to Demko late in the year into the playoffs. But that was the game that really kind of just got Vancouver all into a fizzle. So I'm sure there's some guys that remember that game going back and forth. I think there's going to be an opus. And surely Tocchet would remember that as well, being a defensive-minded guy. I don't think we're going to see a whole heck of a lot of scoring here. So I would be tempted to look toward under. I do have a bargain bin play that I like on the Minnesota side I'll talk about later. But if it is Lankinen confirmed with that road record, I'm going to go draw plus 340.
All right, there we go. I'm actually going to add the draw, too. I mean, Vancouver's gone to overtime 2 in a row on this trip against the Red Wings and Sabres. Minnesota went to overtime against Nashville head-to-head. One of the 2 meetings in Minnesota last year, not that crazy 10-7 game, but the one before that last December went to a shootout in Minnesota between these teams 2-1. So, like I said, the draw I like as well. We'll add that on as well. And like I said, Vancouver's only going to be I've already bet Vancouver because I just assumed. Maybe I shouldn't have assumed, but I assumed Kevin Lankinen's going to start. If I happen to see Shilovs, I'm getting the hell out of that bet, quite honestly. I'm not keeping Vancouver with Shilovs in net. I've seen enough from Shilovs. And I like the kid, and the way he played last year was exemplary in a brutal spot, just thrown into the fire in the Stanley Cup playoffs. But he's not playing with that anywhere close to that level and that same level of confidence right now. So if it is Shilovs, I pivot. I buy out of Vancouver. I actually tack on the over, believe it or not, at 5.5, especially with it being 5.5 if Shilovs is in net here. What do you think, Matt? Canucks, Wild.
This one's really tough for me until I see goaltender. Because if Shilov's in net, then all of a sudden I kind of like the over. I'm just going to wait for a goalie confirmation here. I don't even know if I'll be on this game either way. But I could make a case for the over. I know Alex mentioned that. I actually was just looking at some stuff and saw the previous game at 10-7 and I thought my phone was fucked up. So I don't remember that game. But
no, you're not dreaming or imagining things. I remember that game. It was just insanity, really.
Yeah. So, Vancouver's been well over 5.5 in 3 of their last 3, and Minnesota has been under 5.5 in 3 of their last 3. So tough spot for me. I think if it is going to be Lankinen, I think I will sprinkle on Vancouver here. I like to stay off these games, where I feel that way. It's so determined by the goalie because then, I think I'm overthinking it a little bit. But, we'll see what the goalie confirmation is and kind of go from there.
Yeah, no question. Like I said, we'll see if Lankinen's in net. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, it's Vancouver at a nice price with possibly an undefeated goalie on the road in Lankinen if he starts, which is enough to get me on Vancouver. But I understand this has been a house of horrors for them. 6 straight losses at XL Energy Center against Minnesota. So interesting game, that is for sure, tonight with those two. As far as props go for this game, there are a couple. Vancouver with Connor Garland starting to heat up. I like to see Jake DeBrusk as well. Dakota Joshua up to the second line. Maybe a little value there as well for him at this point in time. And I see Hartman on the second line. When Hartman's in the top six, he usually finds an opportunity to produce. And if I'm not mistaken, I remember that 10-7 game, and I think he scored a couple in it. So Ryan Hartman might be worth a look for Minnesota. All right, Columbus and Calgary. We got the Flames minus 130, home favorite, 6.5 the total in this game. These two teams just played in Columbus. The Blue Jackets won that game. Now back at the Saddle Dome. Calgary back home off a, well, let's be honest, disaster of a road trip. 4 losses, 0-4, winless on that 4-game trip through Ottawa, Detroit, Columbus, and Pittsburgh. You know, not even the best, toughest schedule by any stretch of the imagination. So when I look at it here with Columbus and Calgary, man, Calgary back home, they are 9-3. This is becoming a very, very sharp home-road dichotomy split team right now, the Calgary Flames. It's almost like they have had 2 different personalities at home. The revenge spot against Columbus, plus being back home where they've clearly played a lot better. I actually lean Calgary in this spot, but I don't know. I don't know if I want to lay minus 130 with them. Was it just they stink on the road? And that's why they went 0-4? And because let's be honest, they were beating good teams at home. Look at the recent home games: Rangers, Islanders, Nashville, Minnesota. You know, they had some really good home performances, Calgary, before that disaster of a road trip. And again, 9-3 at the Saddle Dome this year. And in a revenge spot. Well, at the same point in time, Columbus rolls in here 5-1 in their last 6. They've got wins against teams like Carolina, Tampa, albeit at home, Calgary, at Chicago, who had been playing better on home ice. They have a nice 6-3 win there against the Blackhawks. I don't think I can do it, even though I like the way Calgary's played at home. And revenge spot too for losing to the Jackets. But I think Columbus is just in the better form right now. It really is that simple. And I think that's going to keep me off Calgary, you know, here in this game. Even though they've been good at home, they're getting a nice little home dog price. So it's probably going to be a pass for me from a side perspective. 6.5 being the total. Columbus been an over machine. 5 straight overs. Calgary's gone over 4 of the last 5, and their defense has come unglued. So I'll take a small over by Fecta here, Jackets and Flames. Over 1.5, over 6.5. That's about it for me with this one. And obviously we have to mention, even though it's got nothing to do with the betting side of things, but clearly it will be an emotional night at the Saddle Dome. With these two teams playing, and they're going to do it, something regarding the memory of Johnny Gaudreau. You know, obviously most of his career was in Calgary with the Flames. So, and Monahan in Calgary is absolutely probably a good bet, as Hal says in the chat, for the Blue Jackets here tonight in this one. But like I said, they've actually got the Gaudreau parents, Mr. and Mrs. Gaudreau, Guy Gaudreau and his wife. They're going to be back in Calgary for the festivities and the ceremonies tonight. So, yeah, it will be another emotional moment there before the game between these two teams tonight. Alex, Columbus, Calgary.
I just plugged in it. Sean Monahan anytime goal with Calgary to win the game would be plus 754 at FanDuel. So I might add that. I may have a little piece of that in my pocket. Yeah, this is a game where, like I said, Calgary, the team, like I said, the defense is kind of becoming unglued, which that makes it a little trickier to back them. You like them when their defense is in good form. That's their style. That's their MO. Especially
and we don't have our boy Wolfie in net with Stan Vladar tonight. Yeah.
Right, it's a Vladar start, so I can see where, leaning toward those overs. And I might look for some overs in game. But as I said, I think I might sprinkle it small. I don't really have any feel. Like I said, this is going to be an emotional start. Certainly, of course, with this being the rematch and the family going to Calgary, just like it was in Columbus. But this is one where I would take maybe a small shot with Monahan to score. I have that individually, but I will take a flyer with that tied with Calgary at that price plus 754. If you bet $100, that's worth a flyer. I can see Calgary winning this game, but Monahan getting a goal for CBJ.
Voronkov, Marchenko, and Kent Johnson right now for Columbus. Those 3 guys, they're on a heater right now. All 3 of those guys. I think if you sprinkle goal props on those 2 guys, and unfortunately Shinikov, the other Russian, is injured. He's not playing tonight, but the other 2, Marchenko and Voronkov, they have been good. And way to go, Voronkov. I saw him drop the gloves, a couple of games ago. Well done, my friend. Nice to see that. But like I said, they've been awesome for the Blue Jackets offensively. And Voronkov you can get at plus 320. Marchenko, he's usually not bargain bin price. Yeah, plus 240. That's kind of what I thought, but he's still been good. The one I really like is Kent Johnson, Kent Johnson plus 375 for Columbus right now. Yeah, Matthew Olivier. I mean, my gosh, who had him having as many goals as he's had so far? Known for chucking the knucks, not exactly popping the pucks, if you will. So Matthew Olivier, though, has been solid, and you can get plus 600 for him. Yeah, this is a tough one, Robert. Calgary's been awesome at home. Columbus has not been as good on the road. Home versus road tells me bet Calgary, and they're a home dog, and they're not a home dog. They're a home favorite. And I don't love the price either, minus 130, but they've been good at home. Revenge spot. But I just think form-wise, Columbus is in a better form, and Calgary just might be becoming the Calgary we thought, especially defensively. And is home ice just going to flip things for Calgary? And because form-wise, Columbus as an underdog to me is the clear. If you're betting just strictly current form, Columbus as an underdog tonight is the clear choice, because there's no doubt their form is better than plus 110 where they're being priced in this game than Calgary at the moment. But those home versus road splits really for both teams have me on the sidelines. What do you think here, Matt? Columbus, Calgary.
Sorry, I was on mute. These ones are tough for me when there's, an emotional factor into the game. I lean Calgary at home, and on a normal night, I take them minus 130. But I just think anything can happen in these games. It could be a weird game, could be a slow start, it could be quite a few goals early. So I know I've passed on a couple games, but this may be a pass for me. I will be on Sean Monahan anytime goal. I just think, it's a good spot for him. I know I want to say he scored in that first game in Columbus when they did the Johnny ceremony. I think he had the first goal actually. So maybe an opportunity to throw a little bit on anytime goal and an even less on first goal. But that's really the only play I'll have in this game. I might tune into this game just because I know there will be a good ceremony, and I thought Columbus did a fantastic job with their ceremony earlier in the season. So emotional night to say the least. But yeah, as far as sides and totals, I don't really have it play in this one.
All right, we move to our final game of the Tuesday night slate, and a pretty good one. Edmonton Oilers, Vegas Golden Knights. We got Edmonton minus 130, road favorite, 6.5, the total in this game. I think when you looked at the spot coming off the home win against Winnipeg 4-3 on Friday, you kind of figured maybe a little bit of a flat spot for Vegas with welcoming Utah into T-Mobile Arena on Saturday, but I certainly didn't envision 6-0 getting smoked like that by the Utah Hockey Club, but that's exactly how that game transpired. A rough first period, down 4-0 after the opening period. It was not one of the better nights for a guy that had been pretty good most of the season, Ilya Samsonov. Definitely a night to forget for him in between the pipes for the Vegas Golden Knights. They get blasted 6-0. Jackson Stauber gets a shutout win for Utah against Vegas in that game. Golden Knights looking to bounce back. Golden Knights here are home dog off a loss like that. I don't want to bet against that. But here again with form, Edmonton's form's picked up. They beat Ottawa 5-2. They had a game against Minnesota, which was a pretty tough spot off a road trip. They lost 5-3 to obviously a Wild team that's played well. But since then, they've ripped off 3 wins in a row against the Rangers, Utah, and Colorado. So they're playing solid. They go back home and play Columbus after this. They have a chance to sweep this road trip. I think Vegas is always going to be a team that gets Edmonton's attention. No question. We'll see if that happens here. I think there's value, and I like the spot for Vegas. But I haven't decided if I'm going to jump in and take Vegas. What I am on, and you guys know this, we got another system play here. Vegas off a shutout loss to Utah. I'm on the over by Fecta here for sure. Over 1.5 first period, and also over 6.5 minus 110. Not to mention we've got the system play here with Vegas off a shutout loss for the first period over and the full game over. And we've also got this home dominance for the Vegas Golden Knights in the first period over in play. And it's 10-2 to the first period over at home in 12 home games this year at T-Mobile Arena for the Vegas Golden Knights. So we love the first period over as it is because it's the system play with Vegas off a shutout loss. But we love the first period over especially as well because of the 10-2 record for Vegas to the first period over at home this season. So I love the over by Facta, but I really, really like that first period over there. We got both things working in our favor. System play off a shutout loss and the 10-2 for first period overs with Vegas at home. And I know my good buddy from the Pub Sports Radio crew, Razor Sharp, was in the chat earlier mentioning that. He's been betting that. He's not even the most astute hockey guy, and even he knows I'm betting every Vegas home game first period over, and he's been cashing in with that even going back to last year. Alex, what do you think here? Oilers, Golden Knights.
So here's the thing. Not only do we have, like I said, the system play and the strong record at home with this first period over, but the quotes from everybody in Vegas' camp is saying we need to start faster.
Yes,
that's fantastic to hear. When you have that on top of a team that's already 10-2 the first period over, I laid 140 pregame with the first period over. I don't do that often. It's as high as 150. I would even recommend maybe going a half of a unit with 150 pregame and then adding more on once the puck drops. That's the way I'll be attacking this. I also have both teams to score in the first period, and I'm looking at it's plus 1,300 at FanDuel, maybe 2-1 Vegas correct score in the first period. Just that one score, plus 1,300. I think we could see back and forth. Just because Vegas saying we're getting off to a fast start doesn't mean they're not susceptible to giving up a goal to going the other way. So 2-1, when you talk about an offense like the Oilers, makes a lot of sense after 20 minutes. So I will have that in pocket as well, plus 1,300 at FanDuel for that first period correct score.
No doubt. Like I said, that first period over does seem this might be the over trifecta kind of game, because we could see both teams on the board in that opening 20 minutes of play. No question about that. Yeah, for me, I'm sticking with all those totals and the systems. Yeah. To me, the side's tricky because you got Vegas off a shutout loss at home, a bounce back spot, really good price. You don't get them plus 110 home underdog very often. I don't want to bet against that, but Edmonton did lose at home to Vegas recently in Connor McDavid's return. And I think they know they want to kind of go back to Vegas and hand them a little payback. So that's a clear pass for me for the side.
People in the chat are talking about 2.5, and I'm seeing at BetMGM. You get 2.5 plus 210. That's worth the sprinkle. You could maybe ladder it, go 1.5, 2.5 at MGM. Yeah. You get a 2 flat at plus 135. So if you like 2.5s, go with the ladder 1.5, 2.5 at MGM rather than just flat betting 1.5 and 2.5.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, this might be the game to dabble in that over 2.5 in the first period, because I could see 2-1 or 3-0. More likely 2-1. I could definitely see that in the opening period. Matt, what do you think here? Edmonton, Vegas.
I'm hoping for goals because I am going to be on the same game parlay here, but I am going to ladder it. I've done this before. So I'll have one same game parlay that's over 1.5 first, over 5.5 full game, and then one that's over 2.5 first, over 6.5 full game. You should get a nice plus price. And then if we can get a 2-1, 2-2 type of first period, to ask them to get over 6.5 isn't asking for too much. I'll also be on both teams to score here in the first period. I lean Edmonton. I don't know that I would lay minus 130. If anything here, I would take Edmonton team total over 3.5. It's even money. If you think it's going to be goals galore, that's not a bad look if you are leaning Edmonton. But yeah, I'll probably just stay on and hope for goals here. Maybe a 5-4 finish. Don't really care who wins kind of game. So that'll be my play on this one.
All right, there we go. A little ladder, Matty Robinson special here in this game with Edmonton and Vegas. Vasily Podkolzin. Yeah, let's keep going. Isn't this something? Sometimes I'm actually made to look smart because of these players do what I expect. And Podkolzin's been given every opportunity to play on the top 6. He couldn't buy a goal. He couldn't put a puck in the ocean for the first, almost 2 months of the season. And now here he is. He gets his first of the season against the Rangers. And now he scored in 3 straight games for the Edmonton Oilers. So Vasily Podkolzin, we're going right back to the well for his goal prop tonight in this one, no doubt. I love those type of situations. By the way, this is an ESPN Plus exclusive, this game in the U.S. tonight. Detroit, Boston, and Edmonton, Vegas is an ESPN Plus doubleheader tonight. You'll get Bucci, Chicken Parm, and Ray Ferraro for the Red Wing Bruin game. And it's going to be Mike Monaco, who's, I think, a good young play-by-play guy, actually. He really does a nice job. And Cassie Campbell-Pascal with him. Of course, in Canada, you'll get the Edmonton feed with Jack Michaels. So in his voice, hopefully we have a score after the first period of 2-1 Edmonton. Hopefully we have something like that in the first period here in this game tonight. All right, great stuff. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. Appreciate it very much. Great show as always. 619 live viewers on all platforms combined. Love to see that. Just like we love to see all those Patreon members. And make sure you sign up, patreon.com/iceguys, just $10 per month. Goalie charts, totals charts, the daily betting card, sides, totals, player props posted each and every day on the Patreon page. And again, your subscription goes a long way to supporting the show and keeping us going long term. So again, sign up, just $10 per month, patreon.com/iceguys.
Yes, also check out the Ice Guys store, iceguys.myspreadshop.com. 6 days left. You save 25% off your order and get free standard shipping, which will ensure you have your, whatever you're ordering in time for the holidays. If it's a gift for you, it's a gift for your loved one. Make sure you get it in time for the holidays. You get that save 25% off and free standard shipping all week long. That's at iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
Yeah, check it out. Again, time's a wasting. If you want your stuff to arrive by Christmas morning, time is now to get your order placed at the Ice Guys store. No question about that. All right, we got Bargain Bin Special of the night and Best Bets coming up in just a moment, right after we hear from our great Ice Guys sponsors.
Support for the Ice Guys podcast is provided by Boston Hemp Incorporated, Manscaped, Power Play Sportsman, Raise Your Game, Tailgater Sofa, and a big thank you to all that subscribe to the Ice Guys Patreon page. Everyone loves a perfect pair. Bacon and eggs. Thunder and lightning. Mario and Luigi. A hot dog with fries. Ian and Alex B. That's right. Everyone loves a perfect pair. So why not pair up your game nights with Boston Hemp? From exotic flower to concentrates and edible products. You'd be hard-pressed to find a better pairing than Boston Hemp and hockey. Check them out today at bostonhempinc.com. That's bostonhempinc.com. Boston Hemp Incorporated, the official smoke sponsor of the Ice Guys. Void where prohibited by law. Not available outside of the United States. Must be 21 or over to obtain products. Check your local regulations to see if Boston Hemp is available in your area.
All right, shout out to all our great sponsors, including Boston Hemp Inc., our official daily show sponsor and sponsor of the Betcasts as well. 20% off all orders on the website using the promo code IceGuys at bostonhempinc.com. Speaking of the Betcast, we are 1 week away from it. 1 week today, our final live Betcast of the year 2024. Next Tuesday, December the 10th, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Looking forward to it. Always a lot of fun. Our last Betcast in November was legendary. It was, it's always fun and entertaining and great people that are part of it, that join us on the stream. But the live betting results were hot fire that night. It was one hell of a great live betting night in November for our last live Betcast, and we'll hope we can continue that next Tuesday. So again, Tuesday, December 10th, 7 p.m. Eastern, 1 week from tonight. Definitely looking forward to that. As always, you can DM or email me or Alex for a spot on that Betcast, and we will send you the link for it before it begins. All right, Bargain Bin Special of the night. Tons to choose from on a 10-game slate. Alex, what do you like for the Bargain Bin?
Heading up the street to West 7. We're going to XL Energy Center, and we're taking good shout out. Actually, who was a guest in the chat? It was actually Brewski, I think, who got it. Jared Spurgeon. Plus 850. He guessed that right. That was my bargain bin. Plus 850 is the highest price. You can get that available at Caesars. I think I saw it plus 800 at FanDuel as well. Jared Spurgeon, he's been getting involved in scoring, and he's the heart and soul of that team. That's the reason he wears the C on his chest. I think he can get involved with the goal scoring tonight. So at plus 850, Spurgeon will be my bargain bin special.
There you go. Jared Spurgeon, plus 850 for the Minnesota Wild. Bargain bin special of the night for Alex B. Smith. Matt Robinson, there is no, Of course there isn't. They played last night. There is no New Jersey Devils playing tonight, so it can't be Steph Nason for a bargain bin special of the night. But what do you like here tonight for bargain bin?
Yeah, so I'm going to go to that game, Colorado against Buffalo. I am actually going to take Alex Tuck over 1.5 points. I'm seeing it right around plus 300. So I think there's going to be a lot of goals in that game. If Buffalo is kind of keeping pace or even ahead, I think that line's going to have a lot to do with it. So it doesn't matter if he scores twice, 2 apples, 1-1. Just Alex Tuck over 1.5 points. That'll be my bargain bin tonight.
All right, Alex Tuck, Buffalo Sabres, over 1.5 points for Matt Robinson and his bargain bin special of the night. My bargain bin special of the night, there's a couple really, I'm going to give you 2 tonight. Let's see if I don't always like doing this. I try to keep it to 1, but these are 2 players I just don't want to choose between. We're going to Holloway, Dylan Holloway for the St. Louis Blues at plus 500. What a price that is for someone that has scored 3 goals in the last 2 games for the St. Louis Blues under the new head coach, Jim Montgomery. He had 2 against the Devils, 1 against Philly the other night. So Dylan Holloway, St. Louis Blues, plus 500. And I'm going to the last game we talked about, Edmonton, Vegas. Vasily Podkolzin, who is suddenly heating up. He's also plus 500 at Caesars with goals in 3 straight games for the Edmonton Oilers. Vasily Podkolzin, Edmonton, Dylan Holloway, St. Louis, both of them plus 500. Tonight. That is going to be my bargain bin special of the night. 2 bargain bin specials of the night for this Tuesday card.
Well, I already have my pre-production done if Holloway scores.
There we go.
I know what song to do for the highlight.
There you go. Yeah, it might be the female superstar from the 80s. Yes, definitely. All right, we've got best bets now to wrap things up. Alex, what do you like for best bet?
Boy, we got a lot to choose from, but we got to go with this game that we're just really enthralled with, right? I mean, I got a lot invested in it. Seattle, Carolina. Let's go first period over 1.5 minus 130. Like I said, I like a ton of looks with Carolina. I'm hoping that they get out to the 2-1 lead after 20 minutes. That would be at least 2 goals there. So minus $1.30. Kraken, Canes, first period over. My best bet.
There you go. Seattle Kakalaki, over 1.5 in the first period for Alex B. Smith with his best bet. Matt, what do you like for best bet?
I'm going to stick with the same game as my bargain bin. I'm doing the Matt Robb special in the Avs-Buffalo game. So it'll be first period over, full game over 5.5. I like them both separately. But when you put those together, it's plus 115 on BetMGM. I want goals early. I want goals often in the Avs-Buffalo game tonight.
There you go. Colorado Buffalo for that first period over there for Matt Robinson with his best bet here for this Tuesday NHL slate. My best bet for this one, guess what? I'm going to make it a trifecta of first period over best bets on the show. And we're going to go to that last game we talked about, Edmonton, Vegas, man. I saw this one. We've got converging systems, converging trends, system play with Vegas off a shutout loss at home, which already says bet the first period over. Not to mention we have Vegas in 12 home games this year at T-Mobile Arena, 10-2 to the first period over. We've got a team talking about a fast start after getting smoked and blanked by Utah on Saturday night. It all adds up. I'm even willing to lay minus 140 on it. That's how much I like it. Edmonton, Vegas, first period, over 1.5, minus 140 for my best bet here for this Tuesday NHL card. There we go. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. One last time on the way out. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Tuesday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. The email is bobano350@gmail.com. There you go. The email for you, Cole, to answer that question. Bobano350@gmail.com. Shout out to everyone in the chat. For Alex B. Smith and Matt Robinson, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Tuesday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. We're back tomorrow on Wednesday for another edition of the Ice Guys.